Kate wants to bake a cake, but she has no ingredients or equipment except an oven. How is that even possible? Now let's help Kate get her ingredients and other equipment. A baking pan, mixer, flour, margarine, sugar, eggs, milk, and flavor. Now Kate can bake her cake. Hello friends! Have you ever read a story with no character? I don't think such stories exist. Wanting a story without characters is like wanting to bake without ingredients or equipment. It is simply impossible. Characters are a major element all stories must have. In the course of our previous lessons, we learned that characters are persons, animals, plants, or objects used by a writer to convey a subject matter. In this lesson, we will be discussing the different types of characters used in literature, aside the protagonist and the antagonist. We already learned that a protagonist is the main character in a story, while an antagonist is the person that goes against any character, especially the main character. Now, let's take a look at the other character types in stories. The static character. A static character is a character that does not change throughout the story. Such characters exhibit the same attributes from the beginning to the end of the story. Imagine Mensa as a friendly character at the beginning of a story, and at the end of the story, Mensa still remains friendly with everyone. Mensa is a static character because the events in the story did not influence Mensa's personality at the end of the story. Dynamic character. A dynamic character is a character whose personality changes in the course of the story. Imagine Mensa being friendly at the beginning of a story, and at the end of the story, Mensa turned out to be a mean person. In this situation, we can see Mensa is a dynamic character because certain events in the story have shaped Mensa's personality. Flat character. So, Mrs. Ken went into the supermarket to purchase some items. While in the supermarket, she met her old friend, Mrs. Vera. They exchanged pleasantries, and Mrs. Ken told her friend about her new clothing business, her kids attending the best schools, and how her husband has been pampering her with lots of amazing gifts. While they were discussing, Mensa walked past them in the supermarket, purchasing his own items. Mrs. Ken and Mrs. Vera ended their chit-chat, paid for the items, and left the supermarket. Mensa in the supermarket scene of the story is a flat character. A flat character is a character we have little knowledge about in the story. At least we know Mrs. Ken and Mrs. Vera are friends, but Mensa was just a passerby in the story. A round character. A round character is a character we know so much about from the story. In the supermarket scene, we can refer to Mrs. Ken as our round character. Through her conversation with Mrs. Vera at the supermarket, we got to know so much about Mrs. Ken. Lastly, the foil character. A foil character is a character that has a contrasting personality with a primary character in a story. Mensa is a friendly person and enjoys helping people. This made everyone like him. Unfortunately, Mensa's best friend, Lan, is mean. Lan wouldn't lend a helping hand to anyone except he was being paid for it. In this scenario, Lan is a foil character. Lan's personality is contrary to Mensa's personality, who is a primary character. Now, in writing, all characters are very important. Their roles play a major part in amplifying the reality of a text and birthing the text into existence. See you in the next lesson, friends.